mission in life has come to be a holistic health educator and coach to help others to live a healthier, happier, and more fulfilling life. Today's speech, titled Group B, is part 2 of 2 speeches. In Craig's Group A speech, he illuminated death statistics in Utah for heart disease, stroke, and cancer. He reviewed the standard American diet and shared the health of his immediate blood family. He posed the question, do you think there is a correlation between the standard American diet and heart disease, stroke, and cancer? In today's speech, titled Group B, Craig will provide the astonishing, if not somewhat obvious, answer to mitigating the high probability of disease on a personal level. This is project number 10 from the Confident Communicator Manual, Inspire Your Audience. His objectives are to inspire the audience by appealing to noble motives and challenging the audience to achieve a higher level of beliefs or achievement. Appeal to the audience's needs and emotions using stories, anecdotes, and quotes to add drama. Avoid using notes. His speech is 8 to 10 minutes. Please welcome Craig Haffer.
What is most important to you? Is it family, your spouse, your kids, your grandkids, siblings? If that's what's most important to you, isn't taking care of your health and the health of your family the most important thing you can be doing in your life? Today I'm going to briefly review Group A and Group B, and then I'm going to go into Group B and describe what that is. Group A, which contains about 98% of the American population. 1 out of 2 people will die of heart disease, stroke, and cancer once you reach your age of 55 and older. Group B, heart disease, stroke, and cancer are virtually unknown. If you're in Group A, even if you live to be an older age, your quality of life may not be that great. And the pharmaceutical companies and the disease care providers will love you. Group B, on the other hand, in older age, could mean an enjoyable life. I'm going to present some data, and in order to do that, I've got to talk about a couple of researchers, Dr. Campbell and Dr. Esselstyn. Dr. Campbell has been performing biomedical research for over 40 decades as a nutritional biochemist. He's published over 350 peer-reviewed research papers. Dr. Esselstyn started out as a heart surgeon. After 11 years performing heart surgery and realizing his patients weren't getting any healthier, he decided to take a different approach. Dr. Esselstyn's been studying his approach for 30 years and has published over 150 peer-reviewed research papers. Together, these guys have studied over 70 years and published more than 500 peer-reviewed papers. Both these gentlemen are now in their 80s and are very healthy physically and mentally. We'll start with Dr. Campbell's research, and in order to do that, I've got to define a few terms. Foci, precursor clusters of cells that grow into tumors. So when you see the foci response on the graphs that I'm going to show you, think of it being associated with cancer. This was a convenient way for him to measure responses for different substances. Aflatoxin is a carcinogenic chemical. Piece of A is a mystery ingredient that I'm going to share with you later in the talk. This is research after exposure to aflatoxin. The y-axis is foci response. The x-axis has two categories of P sub A at the dietary level of 5% and 20%. And you can see that P sub A at the 20% level has a huge foci response. We're going to look at this a couple more ways. Now we're going to vary the carcinogenic chemical, aflatoxin, from high to low. And even with the lower amount of carcinogen, with the higher P sub A, we get a much larger response, foci response. So you can think of the carcinogen as a seed and P sub A as the fertilizer. Dr. Campbell also looked at P sub G and P sub S. And at the 20% level, it was a much smaller response compared to P sub A at the 20% level. This large foci response effect is only present with P sub A. Now we're going to look at breast cancer for females. And this is by country, where the response would be death rate versus F sub A. Now F sub A is proportional to P sub A, and I'll explain that later. As you can see from the red line, as F sub A increases, so does the death rate due to breast cancer for females. Now if we populate this with the rest of the countries, you can see what a great correlation Campbell made with this data. Now we're going to look at Dr. Esselstyn's work. He took 18 severe heart disease patients and did an intervention. How severe was the heart disease with these patients? The 8 years prior to Dr. Esselstyn's intervention, there were 49 coronary episodes, including heart attacks, angioplasty, bypass surgery. Dr. Esselstyn did a WFPB intervention and studied these same patients for another 26 years. And this is what's really astonishing. One coronary episode from one patient who strayed from the WFPB. This was remarkable. The heart disease was stopped. The patients are now approaching or in their 80s. 5 of them passed away for other causes. So to look at this another way, prior to the WFPB, there's a couple of pictures, A and B, and in the highlighted area in A, you can see that the artery is restricted. And after the WFPB, and this was after about 3 years, the artery has been restored to full size. The heart disease, or the artery disease, has been reversed. Dr. Esselstyn found this to be the case for 70% of his patients. All right, I'm going to go back through these slides and tell you what P sub A is. Now that you've seen the data and had a chance to think about it, animal protein. Same graph, animal protein at 20% dietary level gives this large foci response. And the animal protein we're talking about is casein. Again, even with a smaller amount of carcinogenic material, the fertilizer is this animal protein. The other two proteins that Dr. Campbell studied were gluten protein and soy protein. Even at the 20% dietary level for those two proteins, the response was very small. This large foci response effect is only present with animal protein. I think this is just astounding information. I was just floored when I read this book. The book is called The China Study by Dr. Campbell. If we look at the breast cancer chart, what was being plotted against was animal fat. And what these people were, that was what was measured in these countries. What the people were eating was dairy and meat, which has animal protein in it. So Dr. Estelson did a WFPB intervention. What is WFPB? Whole food, plant-based diet. Whole food, plant-based diet. Don't think this is a vegan diet, because vegan just tells you what you don't eat. This diet tells you what you do eat. If you decide to join Group B, that's what we're talking about, the whole food plant-based diet. There's no side effects, no additional costs, no downside. I challenge everyone to do an internet search and look for side effects of whole food plant-based diet. There may be some information to help guide you along the way in getting started, but no side effects, no problems. It will stop and or reverse heart disease, stroke, and cancer. So again, I ask, what is most important to you? Is it your family, or is it the pharmaceutical companies? And if you take the approach to move into Group B, take baby steps. Congratulate yourself on any transformation in your diet to whole food plant-based. And no worries, if you fall off the bandwagon one day and eat a big steak, just get right back on, because any progress towards the whole food plant-based diet will improve your health and your chances of avoiding these diseases. And ask for help. This offer goes to anybody in the room. Invite my wife, Kay, and I over to your place for dinner. We'll bring the food. We'll prepare the food. We'll show you how to cook the food. And we'll explain how you get started on your whole food plant-based diet. I'd like to close with a quote by Dr. Campbell. We must recognize nutrition as a cornerstone of our healthcare system, not a footnote. Thank you.